Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Joe Biden is out. He has ended his re-election campaign, but who will be in? We'll talk about it tonight with our special panel waiting in the wings. We'll also talk about a few other things, I think, tonight too, including Twisters, the movie. Yeah, I went to see it last night. And I'll tell you why I think it's politically correct. All that and more coming up right here on the Maverick News Channel. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Maverick family. Don't go away. I'll be right back, and the fun will commence.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's bring in our first two special guest panelists. My friends, Joseph and Dragon, hello.
Hey, Dragon's in the bop. Bottom box this time. Ha ha.
Living in the box.
I needed help with this tonight. And I'm sorry, guys, I took last night off. One of those rare occasions. I spent some time with my wife, and she said, "Who are you?" Anyway, we went to a movie last night. We went to see Twisters, rom-com environmental thing, whatever. Maybe we'll talk about it later. But we have to get into this whole Biden stepping down thing. Just first of all, initial reaction from you guys tonight.
Joseph, if you want to start.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Which I insist Rick needs to start playing Tom Petty. Stop dragging my heart around as your intro song. at any rate, all kidding aside, I last month was saying it was 70-30 he'd stay because of his hubris. Then a couple weeks ago, I changed it to 60-40. Then they started well, he's got the Wuhan stuff. Now it's 50-50. It's a coin toss. And sure enough, they flipped the coin and it came up cackling Kamala. I mean, tails. And indeed, he's out. It was so many wanted him out. It was always whether they could coax him aside. And obviously, he's got some deal for the Biden crime family going forward, and he's willing to step down.
Mind if I ask a question real quick? Do you think that he wasn't having the COVID, but he just took this excuses to take some times to have some advice from his advisors and family and whatnot, and see what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, well, I think
a strategic way.
Yeah, I don't know whether he does or he doesn't. I don't really want to go conspiratorial, but indeed, it would be a convenient way to bow out of the limelight for a while and hash it all out. I mean, so many people said at some point they were going to pull the Wuhan hysteria card again so they could hide him in the basement. It's the only way they could proceed forward with him. So either way, they were going to do that, whether he has it or doesn't, so they could either hide him or replace him. Either way, it was going to factor in. We all knew it was coming.
Indeed.
I told everybody last week that he would resign by this weekend. What I said is we had sources telling me that he would resign by this weekend. And I said that I thought that that was very likely. He probably will. So I'll claim that I made a prediction, even though I sort of did it in a kind of a safe way. But yeah, it came true, right? This prediction. So there it is. I've been saying for a while. I said a couple of weeks ago that he was done like dinner. Absolutely done. Inevitable. It was just a matter of time. Too much pressure on him from within the party. Though he's well, you can go back and find the thumbnail and on some previous broadcasts. I put he's toast. Biden is toast, I said. And that was a long time ago. So I'm going to say that I out-predicted even Alex Jones. How about that?
He was certainly toast in everybody's minds except his, which again is why back last month I was saying 70-30. Again, his hubris is why it took this long to get to what most saw as indeed the inevitable. Now, is it going to be cackling Kamala, though? Because again, the fascocrats don't care about the Constitution or the laws, but with identity politics, they're kind of stuck. And in a way, one of the notes I wrote down was, this may be a great way, if they're being strategic, knowing Biden would lose, knowing cackling Kamala would lose, move him out, move her in. They move both. They kill two birds, one election cycle. So 2028, they start fresh. And depending on who cackling would then, and this is not a given, but you're pretty 90% certain the only real easy way is for them to give it to cackling. And there would be such an uproar if they don't. But who's the VP? Mark Kelly out of Arizona for that battleground state and others? wretched Whitler, Michigan, battleground play, and of course then doubling down on identity politics. A double woman ticket? Are they going to make that play for, my God, suburban women are our only real base we got on the abortionless issue? Maybe we could cheat enough with them as the base, or Gavin Newsom, because everybody on the left is high on him, but they can't put him at the top of the ticket and replace the black lady now. But if he is her VP, that puts him in place, and everybody's happy in 2028 with the straight white guy out of California. Or the nobody governor from Pennsylvania, which plays both pro and con. Nobody knows him, so it doesn't hurt him. But nobody knows him, so it doesn't help him a whole lot either.
Trump has to put you on his campaign team because you come up with better names for people than even he does, because he's been calling Kamala. He's calling her laughing Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
No, it's
that's
cackling.
horrible. Cackling Kamala, absolutely.
Cackling
I mean,
Kamala.
yeah.
Anyway.
And more and more people across the country are finally catching on with my fascocrats tag also. And that's not hyperbole. This isn't
that's
the 19...
That's a Bidenism right there.
Yeah.
That's not hyperbole. I don't know what it is, but it's not hyperbole.
But it isn't the 1930s where the Nazi Sochis, right there in their name, were fighting the Moscow-backed communists, which then the Nazi Sochis later become known as fascists. Today, they are one big hashtag commie, fasci, Sochis blend.
One big happy family is what they are. Here's the letter from Joe Biden tonight, announcing that he is not going to be running. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America, I can't even be a Biden. I can't screw it up the way he would. They just issued the letter rather than have him screw it up live. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. Well, I don't know about that. I know none of this would have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic, century, and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me re-elected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today, what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do. When we do it together, we just have to remember we are the United States of America. And there's the letter from Joe. Go ahead, say it. Go ahead, Joseph. Joe
Biden. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are still the United States of America, despite the fascocrats and Obama what Obama started with Biden as his VP and this empty vessel trying to continue the fundamental transformation of America to the hashtag commie fasci socies blend. There's no real difference in any of them now. They're just different banners. They're all competing to be the ruling elite. They aren't progressive, they are regressive. They want to eliminate freedoms and go back to ruling elitism. Leftism has always been that.
So, what do you think there, Dragon? Was that letter adequate?
Well, it is at the pivotal moment of, Biden has to step down, that he has to say something, and I think that he kind of stumbled on the precious problem that the American citizens are actually having right now, because he's not addressing every troubles that he has probably to look at. So,
Yeah. And this may matter, or they will try to peddle that it matters to morons, but should not, of course, because it's the same bull bleep, commie fasci soci's blend policy, destroying the USA, no matter who at this point is at the top of the fascocrats party ticket. Again, doesn't matter. Biden, cackling Kamala, wretched Whitler, Gavin Grewscum, the no-name governor from PA. It's all bad garbage destroying America. Any of them is going to be Obama 3.0 after Biden, the empty vessel, was Obama 2.0.
Well, if I may, because you made a point in a way and segue to Obama. Barack today have made a statement, and it goes this way: we will be navigating in uncharted water in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee will emerge. I believe that Joe Biden's vision of a generous, prosperous, and united America that provides opportunity for everyone will be on full display at the Democratic Convention in August.
Right. And in other words, he's not endorsing Kamala, which is a big blow. And that's exactly what we saw announced on Fox News, which is, this is her taking it on the chin, really.
The message from President Biden and those around him was, quote, all systems go and campaign full speed ahead. Then at around 1:45 p.m., he notified senior team members that he had changed his mind. Let's get to what might have changed his mind, Brett, but also this statement from Barack and Michelle Obama, which does not endorse Kamala Harris. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton have come out to endorse her. President Biden endorsed her. But here's what the Obamas say. We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah,
so
because, that's no endorsement for Kamala.
And at the same time, it's a kind of a call for rigging the system already in place that is actually providing Kamala from becoming probably the leader or that nominee.
Why do you think that's calling it for it to be rigged?
Well, not rigged, but how can I put that? It's kind of you would just bend the rules. Actually, this is more accurate. Yeah, bending the rules, because Kamala should be the one who's being nominee now, in case of Biden, stepping out, right?
Well, to me, Barack Obama is taking the right position. There should be a process if you believe in democracy at all.
Yeah.
Even within the party, there should be a process. People should be allowed to put names forward, go through, nomination, and then, who ends a process to select the candidate properly rather than just have the party select someone. And it isn't
Mhm.
an automatic process whereby the vice president just automatically gets to step into that role as the candidate. If Biden steps aside as president, she automatically becomes president. That's her job, but not to become the candidate. So I think it's the proper process. But of course, we're dealing with the Democrats. We see how they function, and there really is no democracy within the Democratic Party at all, as we've seen time and again. Joseph.
I'm glad you said that because that's one of the notes I wrote down to make sure I mentioned. It is not the Democratic Party. It is the Democrat Party, and there's nothing democratic about them with how they pushed Bernie Sanders aside for
Right.
Obama, pushed Hillary aside for Obama, pushed everybody, including RFK Jr., aside for Biden to be set up. They even rearranged primaries. They rigged their primary to make sure Joe Biden would be the 2024 nominee. And now they finally desperately got rid of him, which he might not have been the nominee if they wouldn't have rigged their primary election.
That's right.
Hello, Democrat, not Democrat.
But Obama said it, okay? They are in uncharted water because they have created that stream in that ocean that they are in.
Oh man, I have to say, I have no sympathy for the Democrats. I have no sympathy for Biden. I think this. I think they reap what they sow. I think that they deserve this. This is a mess of their own making, and this is the biggest mess I've ever seen. And it's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. When you mess with an election process the way that they have, not just, at every step, at every level, they have just manipulated everything because they just don't respect the Constitution. They don't respect the law. They don't even respect their own rules of conduct within their own party. They have no respect for anything. They just
they're based. The suckers that they sucker to vote for them, they have definitely no respect for them. Now, I mentioned RFK Jr., so let me go to, and I've said on this show before, over and over, and my own show and other shows, Perot, Bush, Perot, Clinton. It's been studied to death. People I highly respect and agree with, and being on the ground at the time, I saw it firsthand, at least here in Michigan, although somewhat anecdotal, but I believe it was repeated elsewhere. Perot took disaffected voters, people who were never going to vote for H.W. Bush, were never going to vote for Bill Clinton, and took those people in. They may have voted down ballot, but they would have left the presidential ballot blank. So Perot did not cost H.W. Bush the election. His read my lips broken pledge cost H.W. Bush that election. Now, RFK Jr., I see mostly getting the same kind of vote. Disaffected people with TDS who were never going to vote Trump, people who, for whatever reason, Biden's a disaster. They would never vote for him, so they will go RFK. But there is a difference this time. Each cycle is unique. I do believe, as said it before, he would draw maybe some Democrats away from Biden. But now, with this and man on the street interviews are starting to indicate such. People who were looking forward to voting for Biden out of TDS are now saying, you're pulling a bait and switch now? They're going to vote RFK. So there are some Democrat votes swinging RFK Jr. wise. We don't need them to swing, putting on my GOP hat here, we don't need them to swing to Trump. We just need them to take away from Biden. And it only matters because of the Electoral College if 0.1%, 0.5%, 1% now vote RFK instead of Biden can change swing states to really change the election.
Frank Anderson says George Clooney will be the next president. You know what? I wouldn't say that Kamala Harris is a shoo-in, and we're seeing Alex Jones predict tonight, along with many others over the last couple of days, that it will actually be Hillary Clinton that will be nominated to run against Trump. So it'll be Clinton versus Trump 2.0. I don't believe that. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll put my prediction up against Alex Jones's tonight, right here, right now. It's not going to be Hillary Clinton.
Well, Hitlery, there's my name for her, Hitlery, because they are the fascocrats. And again, that's not hyperbole. That's not hyperbole.
Come on, man.
DNC platform, I gotta get another phrase and stop using that, right, Rick? But the DNC platform literally, don't take my word, Reagan, trust but verify. Go to DuckDuckGo or Jibru, bring up a copy of the National Socialist Deutschland Arbeiter Party, the Nazi Socialist platform, and compare it to the DNC's today. Of course, the DNC tries to use spin and flowery language to dress it up that it isn't identical to the Nazi Party, but 28 planks are there. And that's why they call Trump Hitler and Republicans fascists. It's projection.
I think your name for Kamala is most appropriate, given that especially when you look at the attacks that are happening online, the memes that are being created, and people have wasted no time in coming out to target Kamala Harris tonight because she's the first one out of the gate saying she will seek the nomination. So now we're getting stuff like this posted.
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
Not.
He knows how to sell right there. Okay.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, she's still got a sense of humor. Right?
And I think in New Hampshire,
Okay. So, joining us now from New York.
Okay. Now because you'll need some help. Maybe you can have
You look fantastic.
No, maybe.
So, let's do this.
Yeah, all those poor black people she put away for minor drug offenses, pot in California, have got to be thinking to themselves, yeah, this woman is high all the time. She's got to be high all the time. And I sidetracked myself. The point I was trying to make about Hitlery was Hitlery, if you don't know, has endorsed cackling Kamala.
Magic Moon says, stop the insanity. Noella says, okay, it's annoying. Yes, it certainly is, isn't it? Can you imagine 4 years of that? I mean, it was bad enough when she was in the background as VP, but could you imagine 4 years of regular news conferences and appearances and foreign visits to foreign countries, appearance at the United Nations?
Although that would be like having even worse. Imagine 4 years of Freeland. Mr. Speaker.
Oh, there's her running mate right there.
Sorry.
If only Chrystia Freeland had been born in the United States, we could just send her back and let her run as VP down there. She's going to need a job anyway because Trudeau's about to turf her as deputy PM because he needs a scapegoat.
Hey, I joked. I said maybe they'll double down on the identity politics and pick wretched Whitler because, again, woman and woman, but Michigan battleground state. But maybe they'll quadruple down on identity politics and they can make cringe John Peon the VP.
Sandy says that's the one who's high a lot. Bobblehead girl like Freeland, yeah. That's funny. She's the one that's high a lot.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I said in the chat too. Again, she put all these people away for minor pot offenses, mainly blacks in California, but she appears to be high on pot every minute of the day.
Oh my!
A lot of people say that this woman right there, well, she likes to drink a lot once in a while, but not before 12.
Nancy Pelosi.
Or so we've heard. We're not making, these allegations have not been proven in a court of law.
Right.
No, but what I say, there's a lot of people online saying those kind of things. So, I mean, we don't know. It's just, it's probable.
Right, Dragon. They always say allegedly about Nancy Piglosi is drunk all the time too. So
I heard somebody call her Nazi Pelosi today.
Oh, how did I come up with that? I am pissed off.
Oh, it's okay. I stole it. Feel free to use it. Okay, it's not original, not from me. I'm just reporting. That's my
John
job.
said there's no copyright on that name. You can use it.
Yeah.
Here's a news conference with RFK Jr. reacting to Biden's announcement today.
Showing to the rest of us. I want to add that a little over a year ago, when I entered this race, I predicted that President Biden suffered from a degenerative condition that was not going to improve and that it would make it impossible for him to govern effectively. The reaction of the DNC to that obvious condition was to hide it from the American public and to use their power over the Democratic Party nomination process to make sure that nobody could compete with President Biden in a way that would expose his deficiencies. And as a result, we are where we are today, which is in a period of crisis. And we have two crises, and they both derive from the same condition, and that condition is the emergence of the domination of corporate power over American democracy that accelerated beginning in 2010 with the Citizens United case that unleashed a tsunami of corporate money into the American political process. And both parties are now captured by that corporate money. And they've lost any kind of authentic connection to the American people or to the populist goals of the Republic and of democracy. On the Republican side, President Biden promised the last time around that he was going to drain the swamp. But instead, he came in and he appointed a pharmaceutical lobbyist and CEO to run HHS, Verizon lobbyist to run the FCC, a Goldman Sachs CEO to run the Treasury Department, an oil lobbyist to run the Interior Department, a coal lobbyist to run the Environmental Protection Agency, and so on. And only today, President Trump has announced that in his new administration, should he win this election, that Jamie Dimon will be his choice as Commerce Secretary, and that Larry Fink, the director of BlackRock, will run the Treasury Department. This is the swamp. These are swamp creatures. And his pick as vice president is a salute to the CIA and to the intelligence community and to the military-industrial complex. Their gravy train is going to continue. And President Trump has a connection to the American people, a populist connection, but in many ways it's the same fraudulent connection that we saw with the DNC over the past year, concealing the real purpose of their objectives, which was to give us a president that represents corporate interests rather than the interests of the American public. We've seen two presidents who aren't really addressing any of the issues that are critical to our country. We have, if you look at President Biden and President Trump, you can look at them and say these are very different people. Their dispositions are different, their personalities are different, their expressed ideologies are very, very different. Their approach to politics could not be more distinct. But if you actually look at the policies over which they differ, over the landscapes in which they're staging this election, it's a very narrow Overton window of guns, of culture war issues, of abortion, of trans rights, etc. And the big existential issues that are actually facing our country are never addressed. The biggest of these, perhaps, is the national debt, which is now $34 trillion. The service on that debt alone is now greater than our military budget. Within 5 years, 50 cents out of every dollar that we collect in taxes will go to servicing that debt. Within 10 years, 100%. This is not sustainable. President Biden, President Trump offer no solutions. President Biden, on his webpage, has no policy issues addressing this or any other policy. He has a picture of himself and saying that we're going to finish the job, but he doesn't tell what job he's going to finish.
He's going to drive a stake through the heart of the nation
until it's completely unsustainable. That's something that
Let
the
me
American
finish
people
this.
should know
Let me
about.
finish it off. Let me drive
President Biden can't talk
the
about
last
it.
spike.
President Trump can't talk about it because they're the ones chiefly responsible for running up that debt. President Trump came into office saying he was going to run the presidency as a business. He was going to balance the federal budget. And instead, he ran up an $8 trillion debt, more than all the presidents combined since George Washington. And President Biden is now on track to beat that number. So neither of them are even going to talk about this most existential.
It's like, okay, I can't take it anymore. It's like, you listen to these guys talk, right? It's like, oh shit. Holy shit. Oh my God. What's going to happen now? Oh my God. And then this guy came along and he spent more than every president ever combined in one fell swoop. And then the next guy came along and he's on track to spend even more than the last guy did. More than all the other presidents combined. It's like, and I gotta let me in there. I gotta finish the job. If it wasn't so pathetic, I shouldn't even laugh, but
Yeah.
I can't help it. It sounds funny. Here's a question though. Do you guys know when he's making those kinds of statements, are they taking into account inflation over time and the actual value of money today versus the value of money over all those other years and those other presidents? Because of course inflation reduces the value of the dollars, therefore the numbers, my guess is they're not. They're doing all of this to make it sound a whole lot worse than it is. Let me answer this call. I'll leave you to answer that, Joseph.
Okay, yeah. The issue here is generally measuring in percentage of GDP, spending to GDP level. And indeed, that has grown. We are now spending more as a percentage of GDP than we did during World War II. So it is an issue. And I will, taking off my Trump hat, my Republican hat, I agree wholeheartedly with RFK Jr. in that Trump, because again, I support Trump, but I'm not a cultist. Trump spent way too much money. He did not even threaten to veto one spending bill, let alone veto an actual spending bill to say, Congress, do better. We got to make cuts. So, yes, Trump, and of course, the whole Wuhan hysteria, there's a bit of a caveat during that year, but I mean, before Wuhan hysteria, Trump was still allowing way too much spending. But RFK, you're wrong on Citizens United. Yes, it allowed what we call dark money now. Well, companies, the left, they said companies are people. Well, yeah, dummies. Who do you think works at companies? Who do you think runs the companies? People. So they have every right to also donate. Citizens United, in my mind, didn't go far enough. But the other thing is, I have questions about Jamie Dimon, but I'm open and willing to say, let's see how it goes. The guy from BlackRock is a whole other story. No, hell no, don't want him around anything in government after all the crap BlackRock has done to this country with woke investment agenda and the whole, what is it? The ESG, the ESG garbage. They adhere to the woke ESG manure at BlackRock. So hell no to him. But nobody's perfect. Trump isn't perfect. He's going to make mistakes again. And I think that it's likely going to be one, but he's trying to build a coalition. So from that aspect, I get it. You can't govern if you don't get elected, and you may not get elected if you don't open up a big tent.
Well, you're right. Actually, it goes along with the corporate domination that RFK was referring to.
Well, I kind of, now that it's an even stranger race, I think we're going to see more and more attacks on RFK Jr. And I don't know how he'll fare in that regard, but there was all of this, and I'm going to run this. Run a couple of promos. We'll come back. John Scotty is on the line. He's going to join the conversation in just a moment as well. But let us not forget how fond RFK Jr. is of canines.
Who let the dogs? Who let the dogs out?
He is nuts and clearly disturbed. The Standard.
What you do to me, hot diggity, dog diggity, boom, what you do.
He's angry, Vanity Fair. His own family hates him. The New York Post.
Kiss that away, bring me bliss that away, with a kiss that away.
He sounds like he is transmitting from another galaxy. He is so crazy. The New York Post.
Hot diggity, dog diggity, boom, what you do to me.
Kennedy is a humorless bully living in a paranoid fantasy. Vanity Fair. What the is wrong with Bobby Kennedy?
Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight. For freedom, get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are two iconic artistic designs to choose from. But there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech. Free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Okay, let's bring everybody back in. And on the line with us right now is John Scotty. Hello, sir. Just keep in mind, John, that these guys, you cannot converse back and forth because you can't hear them, but they can hear you. So go ahead and give us what's on your mind.
Well, good evening, Maverick News family worldwide, including our best buddy in the United States, Joseph Leonard. Well, we've never met Joseph, but call me, Rick, call me old-fashioned. Joseph, you remind me of Dame Edna Everett, Sir Les Patterson, the famous Barry Humphries. You have the most incredible command over the English language, Mr. Leonard, sir. Next to Conrad Black, my friend. Wow, good evening, gentlemen. Worldwide news, eh? I'm not surprised Mr. Biden is stepping down. And gentlemen, all joking aside, no poopy depends jokes. All joking aside, you know what? I feel I have great empathy for this man. He has served his country in the best way he could do for 40 years. He probably should have left a little while ago. But you know what? He's trying to protect his legacy, and give him a little bit of credit. The man has dementia, Alzheimer's, and they're finally doing the right thing with him. And I've got to commend the Biden family that they're finally doing the right thing and having him step down. What they've done to him is elder abuse to me for 2 years now. But that's a side note. May God bless the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, next to Canada. Give us a thumbs up there, Leonard. Thumbs up for Canada. I think Trump against Harris, she's even more disliked than Mr. Biden, you know.
That's why the VP is important.
It's Sleepy Joe Bolshevik Bunker Biden, now in a nursing home with a big bucket of ice cream in front of him. Yes, thank you very much.
He'll be much happier. He'll be much happier. Oh, thank you, John.
But you know, final thought, Joseph Conrad Black, Lord Black of Lorburn, who just got his ass tossed out of the Lord of Lords in London, England. Don't let the door hit you in the butt, Mr. Conrad Black, when you're getting kicked out of the Lord of Lords. House of Lords, Leonard, you're not American. Mr. Conrad Black of Crossburn. Yeah, anyways, love you, Leonard. Love you, Dragon. Keep up the good work, guys. And you know what? Maintain your sense of humor, because the Barnum and Bailey circus, it's just getting going, gentlemen. Gentlemen, get a front row seat.
Just getting started. Thank you, John.
Yep. Welcome to the circus.
God bless America, Canada, and gentlemen, in God we trust.
Indeed.
In God we trust.
Welcome to the circus, ladies, gentlemen, and confused fascists.
And we need God's help now more than ever before.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that.
Oh, it is. Isn't this is, can't make this stuff up. What a story.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, really, yeah, his legacy is secured as worse than Obama and Jimmy Moon Crater Carter combined.
Yes. Oh, man. So, Joseph.
Yes,
you're an American. You know, I have to defer to you when it comes to talking about process. So what's going to happen now?
Well, I mean, that's really anybody's guess, because Dragon, in the green room we were talking before we went live, he brought up the 12th Amendment. Well, the 12th Amendment only laid out so much, and indeed created the brilliance of the Electoral College, so that we're not a mobocracy, a democracy. We are a constitutionally limited republic, and the Electoral College at least provided the check and balance of California and New York not being the only places that decided the presidency by popular vote. So it doesn't really go into the territory we are now, because they never foresaw the territory we're in now. But again, it doesn't matter what the Constitution says or the various 50 state laws say, which what really comes into play here, because we already saw the fascocrats in 2020 in 5 states completely threw out their state law, which was what Texas v. Battleground States, that was filed, that the SCOTUS punted on because they knew damn well if they heard the case, they would have had to have sided with Texas and decertified 5 states because you violated every law in your book. Your state, therefore, could not be legally certified, and that would have demanded a new election in those states, and that's precedent. That's why they didn't hear it. They knew ahead what the ruling would have to be. So they tried to take a lame, well, you don't have proper standing. Well, the SCOTUS is the only place a state can sue or charge against another state. That's the only jurisdiction it can be held. But you violated your laws. You disenfranchised our voters, and precedent had been there. Many states, including New York, several times have ordered new elections because it couldn't be certified. There was an issue, fraud was proven. In this case, prove fraud or not, doesn't matter. You ignored your law. You violated law. Period. Cannot certify that vote. A new election would have to be ordered. But several times in New York, judges have ordered in various elections, null, void, must revote.
Okay, so what I understand from the research I've done, this is the process as it's supposed to unfold. If a Democratic presidential candidate steps aside in the middle of an election campaign in the United States, the process for selecting a new candidate involves several steps, which are typically guided by party rules and can vary depending on the timing and circumstances of the withdrawal. And so in this case, we're about midstream. We're about just, what is it? Just 3.5 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5
well,
months or so.
you mentioned party
And then-
rules. They don't
Yeah.
care about those either. Look at what
Right.
they did again with
Right.
super
But
delegates.
Yeah, but they're supposed to follow party rules. So let's say they do. Okay. So step one, there would be the withdrawal announcement, which we just got. The current candidate formally announces their withdrawal from the race. We got that with Biden today. And in this case, it's because he's losing his mind, which we've clearly laid out here, and others have pretty much all over the world. Then there's a party leadership decision. The Democratic National Committee takes the lead in deciding how to proceed. The DNC has bylaws and rules that outline the procedure for replacing a candidate, which they generally speaking don't follow. Consultation with state parties then kicks in. The DNC will likely consult with state Democratic parties to understand their perspectives and ensure that the process with state-specific rules and deadlines. And then, depending on the timing, the DNC may call a special meeting or a mini convention to select a candidate. I think we've already seen that process underway in sort of a semi-public way in back rooms over the past couple of weeks. Well, since the debate, all right, that's sort of been taking place. And that involves party officials, delegates, other stakeholders who have a say in the selection process. Then the nomination of a new candidate. The selection of a new candidate can involve a vote by the DNC members, superdelegates, or a broader convention of party delegates, similar to the process used during the national convention. We've got the big convention still to come up, right? Ballot access and legal considerations. The new candidate must be added to ballots in various states, which involves navigating state election laws and deadlines. And this can be a complex process requiring coordination with state election officials. RFK Jr. talked about that in his news conference today, saying he's actually in a better position now than the DNC is because he's on a bunch of ballots, in many states. The DNC has to kind of start all over again. Nominating the candidate, the selection. of the new candidate can involve a vote by the DNC members, superdelegates, or a broader convention of party delegates, similar to the process used during the national convention. And then ballot access and legal considerations, okay? The new candidate must be added to ballots in various states, which involves navigating state election laws and deadlines. And that's a complex process. It requires coordination, as I said, with state election officials. Again, I just said RFK Jr. talking about that in his news conference. They've put themselves in a real pickle. They've backed themselves into a corner here. The whole DNC election machine. And then they have to restart the campaign. Once this new candidate is selected, the campaign machinery needs to restart. That includes fundraising, rallying supporters, reorganizing campaign strategy and logistics, and then public communication. The party must effectively communicate the change to voters, ensuring that the electorate understands the reasons for the change and rallies behind the new candidate. So this is to say the least, a challenging process, and it will, there's some variables here that will come into play based on the timing of all of this. And of course, I think that he's stepping aside just in the nick of time to maybe give the Dems just enough time to get something credible launched to go up against Trump. But this is a monumental task. They're really, people might not realize it, but they're kind of starting at square one again.
Yep.
All that you just said matters not one whit. Because we already seen Democrat secretaries of state ignore their laws and just do what they wanted. And in states that they don't control the state, they will get a federal liberal activist judge, a Ketanji Brown moron who doesn't know what a woman is, but will order them on the ballot regardless of whatever the state law is. So there's that. And the other thing is, if he's not qualified to run for another term, the 25th Amendment, should he be replaced? Well, for the sake of the country, is it better to have idiot Biden or cackling Kamala?
Well,
it doesn't matter.
He's gone.
It doesn't,
so we're focused on this now.
Well, it doesn't matter because others behind the scenes are running things anyway. But for the Democrats, it would help cackling Kamala if he is removed or resigns and assumes the presidency and is therefore an incumbent for 3 months. So if the Democrats were smart, they'd elevate her to the presidency via the 25th, because then they do nothing for 3 months. No more damage. So that, hey, it looks like cackling Kamala's better than Biden.
Well, it's a done deal. He's resigned now, and he stepped aside, but he's still the president.
Yes,
and he'll ride this out. So they've got to go through this process, right? And tonight, Trump this is funny. Here he is. He says, so we are forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud in that everybody around Joe, including his doctors and the fake news media, knew he was not capable of running for or being president? Just asking.
Legitimate question.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant electioneering. Brilliant.
So do you think they should be reimbursed for all the money they spent attacking the guy? I don't think so. I don't think it works that way, Don. Then he says, does everybody really believe that Crooked Joe had COVID? No, he wanted to get out ever since June 27th, the night of the debate, where he was completely obliterated. That was the big moment in Joe Biden's demise. That was the point in time when Joe was revealed for what he is, an incompetent man who should never have been president. Joe Biden is not fit to serve. He is destroying our country. That's a little bit
But
older
that
post.
goes back to what I said at the top of the show. They're trying to sell this now as if, hey, the fascocrats are different now. We're going to be led by cackling Kamala or wretched Whitler or Gavin Grewscum or the nobody knows from Pennsylvania or Mark Kelly from Arizona as the VP. Hey, this is a different party. No. You're still the fascocrats. It's still the same policy. If you put a parrot that just goes up there, Polly want a cracker, same policy, destroying America. So this matters not one whit, except to fools who try to spin it as such.
So basically, we have a month here where the nomination process will, play out, and then we'll find out who the candidate is going to be during the convention. And I think we're looking at a date of August 19th, I think.
Yeah.
So it's the 21st here today. So we have basically a month to play this out. The Democrats can use this as, subject matter to fuel public interest in their campaign. But it's a dangerous thing, because if they have a nomination process, traditionally what happens is the candidates spend a lot of time attacking each other and running each other down. So while Trump is out there campaigning, the Democrats will be fighting amongst themselves, and then they have to go through the process at the end of that, after selecting the campaign, of reunifying the party after they finish tearing each other apart. That's not a really good position to be in at the end of August going into the election.
Well, it's not entirely bad either, because Alinsky style, the leftist 7Ds, as I call it, part of the Alinsky tactic extension, deflection, distraction, anything but to talk about their failed policy. So the personality horse race, as opposed to principles, not personalities, doesn't hurt them. It deflects from their failed policy. They want the drama to try to distract.
Sure, and the soap opera is always a lot more interesting than the actual discussions on geopolitics, which the vast majority of people don't understand, because they don't, they're not, they start to glaze over and go to sleep when people start talking about economics, right?
Well,
which is what goes on around this channel a lot. It's like, oh, there's Rick talking about economics again.
If you look at it this way, all right, I mean, you got Biden going sideways, all right, and we have now to look into a new nominee, right? It's going to take a month, probably, like you said, Rick, to get the new nominee, get into the process.
I love the way you say that in what is that, Franglish?
Franglish.
Unanimity.
A new
Can
nominee.
you say that again? Say it again.
A new nominee.
Unanimity?
How will I try to?
Unanimity?
How do you spell that? Right.
How do you
spell that?
Channel. This is what happens when you have somebody from Montreal on talking about U.S. politics. It's unanimity.
So we have Biden with, stepping out, and now we need to find a new nominee. And this new nominee, we don't even know who it is.
You
Probably
should hear me try to
Kamala.
speak. You should hear me try to speak Spanish or French, man. I mix Spanish, French, and English together, and it just turns into a stew of a disaster stew. Man,
It turns into a cackling Kamala word salad,
God,
right?
it's awful. It's just terrible. It's my elementary school French with mixed in with a couple of years of Spanish that I've mostly forgotten now, years after learning how to speak Spanish, and I never use it, so I can't speak it anymore.
Well, sometimes I say I got a switch in my head that goes from French to English, and
Yeah.
sometimes I got to switch it completely, but it doesn't want to. It's just keeping on this little mark, Frenchy.
That reminds me of a quote from Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Justin's father, years ago. Somebody asked him, "What language do you think in, English or French?" And his response was, "I think in the abstract." That's pretty good. There was a guy with wit. I'll tell you, JT is not Pierre. That is, and I mean Pierre Elliott, not Pierre Poliev. Okay, JT is not his father. No, do you think in English or French? I think in the abstract. That's pretty darn good. Well,
that's clever.
And you see,
clever.
Dragon, there you go. That's why it comes out the way it does with you as well. Because when you're saying humanity, it's like it's just very abstract. But we get it, man. We get it. And that's why we love you.
At least you get the point of what I'm trying to say.
We need to turn on closed captioning and see it blow a gasket.
That's right.
With what Dragon's trying to say.
How to short circuit AI. Just come on the Canadian channel and listen to three guys, an American, an Anglophone, and a Francophone, just rip the hell out of the English language.
It's like the Biden sign language guy. It's like, oh no.
Anyway,
whatever the hell he said.
Completely off topic, man. But I think it's funny. So we're talking about
it is.
Doesn't matter.
But turning point to that new nominee, you have to select this person. And you still have 1 month. You still have 1 month to get the people on board to vote for that person.
Hey, can you say this one?
Sure.
Can you say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? Give it to us, man. Come on. Go ahead.
Repeat that one, please.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Do it. I dare you. Come on.
You don't remember that movie?
Come on, Dragon. Just give it a shot. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Come on.
Supercalifornia. You know what? You just triggered my ADHD. Thank you.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
California dishes.
Hey, stop trying to turn Dragon into a trained monkey.
No, this is fantastic. No, you have to come with me to McDonald's in Quebec and watch me try to order lunch. It's way worse. It's far worse when I'm trying to do that. It's a verbal disaster. One more time. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And the California, I'm going wrong.
California. This is beautiful. Okay, don't go away. There's more ahead. We're gonna calm down. We're gonna take a break so we can get back to something serious here. Hang on, I'll be right back.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight. For freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are 2 iconic artistic designs to choose from. But there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech. Free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Okay. Oh, my dragon's just stepped aside and he's back. Okay. Yeah, man, you know, when I go to order lunch in Quebec and they don't understand what the hell I'm saying, you know what the trick is, right? You just speak louder. It's like, I'll have a hamburger. And they're like, pardon? And I'm like, oh, that's Spanish, isn't it? Okay. So it's like, I'm like, le hamburger? And they don't understand. And they're like, and I'm like, le hamburger? Le hamburger. You just shout it. You just shout. Then they understand. You just shout louder. That's what you do.
Yeah, like the Biden going back between the whisper and the loud type thing, right?
Oh, wow.
But I will say, no worry, guys. None taken here. I mean, I'm well aware of my ADHD dyslexia, so sometimes, you know, I slip on my tongue like Biden, and I'm well aware of my difficulties, but it's all good and all funny.
Hey, we all do. We all that's another. I'm glad you kind of said that. That leads me to the thought. We all have verbal slip-ups at times. You know, Trump does, but Trump may do it on occasion. Biden, it's a dozen times a day.
Hey,
You cannot equate the two.
Hey, Dragon, you've got 2 languages in your head, man, and you do well, right? So no criticism, but it is endearing to hear you hear you kind of well, it's your accent is what it comes down to. It's funny. It's
Can
funny
you
sometimes.
imagine Melania
was
with
funny.
5 different languages
man.
actually in her head? Oh my God!
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
this is
talking
my brand.
There you go. That's your brand. Yeah, that's you. Here's Tulsi Gabbard pointing out that not only do some people butcher language, but Kamala Harris butchered lives.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris.
I want to bring the conversation.
So that's the kind of stuff that's going to be dredged up again heading into, well, now over the next month as they
Yeah.
select the candidates.
Yeah, Rick, I know you like my tags. Another one I have for her is Kamela, Kamele, right? If she gets the presidency, it will be an extinction level event. Kamela.
It very well may be. That is entirely possible. Oh my.
Personally, I love Gubar a lot. She says a lot of good thing. I mean, she has a lot of point. She makes a lot of. I think she thinks a lot for the American citizen, and she should be a good pick too. One day, probably she'll be the president. Never
What's
know.
going on over here in the chat? What do we have?
Thank you, Noella.
Let's see here. See if we can get caught up and give people a little attention on the screen here.
The hell with
Noella
all
says,
them.
I love the way you speak, Dragon. You see, it's true, man. A man with an accent, right, is always popular with the ladies. That is true. And I'm not talking about my kind of accent.
I've heard that. A lot of ladies digging into the Frenchy accent. I heard.
Yeah, man, they're digging it. They're digging it.
Another reason why your walk-in song needs to be "Stop Dragging My Heart Around."
And let's see, Magic Luna says, if you like liars and thieves, you might be a good candidate as a politician. And Jesse says, Alicia, look at its origins. I don't know what that is. That's making reference to something much earlier. That's about it in the chats. That's sort of related to what we're talking about.
Angela
people are
saying
talking about everything
that she
above,
likes French accent.
Oh, Isabel says, I was married to a French man. He had bedroom eyes. Okay, say no more. Isabel says, French men are sexy. Ooh, dragon. SW says, you must be a ladies' man.
Well.
And Alicia says Walt Disney was Canadian. Is that true? No.
I don't think so.
I don't think that's true, is it?
Maybe his family origins go back there, but...
Yeah, probably, but I'm not sure of this one.
That's a good
No,
question.
he was born in Chicago, Illinois, December 5th, 1901. So that's clearly disinformation. Somebody's
but were
out there
his
spinning up conspiracy theories.
Were his parents originally like from Quebec and came to Chicago and he was born there?
So, yeah, speaking of conspiracy theories, I don't know, man. It's like I'm looking at this Trump assassination attempt thing, and it has just gone like right off the deep end with a lot of people. And you know, there's people are convinced now that there was a second shooter. It's just there was. That's
Well,
it.
I was on with Dick Kupke on Wham Radio the other day, having a three-way conversation with the owner of the station, Faye Roan, who brought up indeed, this isn't like JFK's assassination. All kinds of people had audio and video equipment running. So, indeed, forensic analysis, which we wouldn't have had even 25 years ago, say or claim, it is alleged that there were three guns, three distinct different types of guns that were fired. Well, that could be the gunman and two from Secret Service. It could be a second assassin gunman and one who knows? So I don't doubt there may have indeed been more shots fired then from what we know, there were at least two. But if there indeed was this
It
third
appears,
weapon,
and if I may, because I think you're just a little bit behind in the information dissemination game, there is a report on Fox News. Let me see if I can find this, saying that there was indeed another gun, a third gun. The report is that the shot from the third gun came from a local police department sniper who also took a shot at the gunman on the roof.
right? But conspiracy theorists are saying, well, he's just claiming that as part of the cover up. And that was my point I was getting to. I believe indeed 3 guns were fired, but who they belong to is where the conspiracy world goes nuts. And I just wrote an article on before it's news, the Trump assassination attempt. Facts versus speculation, needing sound investigation to seek facts versus fiction. How about we stick with what we can 100% prove? You don't need to go off into conspiracy la la land to make the point. They wanted to kill him. They who, does it much matter? Obviously, someone who fears he will upset the deep state. That alone, conjecture in people's own minds without having to plant that thought there as a conspiracy, is enough to potentially shift vote.
Well, I got another conspiracy theory probably. I've heard in certain states that, and I don't know about Pennsylvania, but some states and Department of Police has been stolen of their equipment in certain cases. So is there a conspiracy theory that I can probably find behind that? I don't know, but I mean, it's just conjecture and I'm just saying blah, blah, blah right now. But is there something there? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's my point. In a show like this, and like during Trigger Talk on Wham Radio on Saturdays when I called in, of course, we're going to talk about those things. But my point in my article is the average Joe Schmo, the schmuck on the street. If you're going to talk that as opposed to just the generic, we all saw they tried to kill him. Figure it out for yourself why, and you should be voting for him, is enough on the street to the average schmuck that it should make a difference. On a show like this, of course, we're going to deal in the speculations and the what ifs, but out on the streets, all you're going to get with that are eye rolls, people walking away, thinking you're a nut and not taking you seriously. And in fact, you might drive votes away when you're trying to get votes to come your way because they think you and everybody else then supporting Trump is a lunatic. So it can hurt rather than help. But yes, on a show like this, obviously, we're talking news. We have to cover those things. But again, on the street, I don't talk that stuff to people on the street. It just drives people away. They roll their eyes and walk away.
Well, I'm only dealing with it to the degree that, I'm telling people to not pay attention to it unless it's really grounded in fact. And that's what I'm trying to find this Fox News support. There's just so much stuff rolling in here tonight because of this. It's just, I'm having trouble finding the clip. But the bottom line is, the other night, I called out this guy, this doctor, what's his nuts is.
Chris Martenson?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. And I was saying that, he His methodology was flawed. He was just using an audio recording. I'm going to try and find it here because I want to show you what I'm talking about, because people are attacking me. I'm like, okay, whatever, man. But they're saying you were wrong. No, I wasn't wrong. I was 100% right. And I'll tell you why I was right. I'll show you why I was right. But you guys talk for a minute while I find this.
Because I know Peak Prosperity for a long time, and well, I was listening actually to Chris Martenson when he was doing COVID conspiracy theory kind of thing, because he's a doctor, right? But when we speak of, say, science base or the science base or say medical base, he's kind of on point. He can, bring you at the right place most of the time. But on a conspiracy theory like an assassination attempt on someone, I'm sorry, Chris, he's probably out of his ballroom kind of thing.
and to the conspiracy thing, back to the Wuhan hysteria, Biden vaxxed and quadruple.
We don't want to talk too much about this on YouTube, Joseph.
Yeah, well, I think just saying that enough makes the damn point. We were all called conspiracy theorists, but look at the guy, and he claims he still got it.
That's what I said the other night. It's a good thing the vaccine is so safe and effective, because the president who just got COVID for the third time, it's a good thing he's fully vaxxed and absolutely totally boosted.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
Proves we were right all along.
It's so safe and effective. I'm so relieved to know that he's, just shows that it works. Anyway, okay, I've got one of the clips. Still trying to find the other one. Hang on. This is really hard because I've got so much stuff. But I'm going to show you.
Well, it's like I've said elsewhere. Never before in human history have people had so much easy ability via the internet to find facts and truth. Trouble is, also, never before in history has it been so easy for the delusional to find other nuts online to feed their delusion and ignore reality. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. Keep on talking because I'm looking. The show is yours for a minute.
I've crossed off all my one note I had from the open, because you go into about rabbit holes. We go into the rabbit holes here, but unfortunately it doesn't matter with the left, because the only hole they're interested in is their butthole, which their head is up.
Oof, that was a punchy one, my friend.
But
I cannot say better.
Yeah, other than that, I pretty much crossed off all my notes, so I don't know what else to say. I don't have any other
right, let me
quirky
run
names
a
for
promo,
people either.
And I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here we go. Stay with us, folks. I got it for you. I got it. Here we go.
Fighting the Great Reset by leading the Great Resistance.
Yeah, what's up? Oh, okay, thank
you. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
Hang on.
Yeah, I'm not sure who you were talking to, but we kind of heard you talking to somebody while the promo was going there, Rick.
Bear with me.
Oh, okay. At any rate, hey, since I'm alone.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, it's just way too much for me to do this on the fly. Dragon's gone. Let's talk about something else. I'll come back to it.
Okay. Well, Merrick wants to know what I was going to say while we were flipping through screens. Sure. Merrick, I was just going to tell a joke to kill time while Rick was looking, and that would have been from my Terror Strikes book. To be or not to be is truly the question. Because if it's to be, I got bingo! Now you know what I was going to say. I was just trying to kill time.
Yeah. So I don't like it. I was told it's somebody posted it in the chat. I don't know what chat, where. I've got multiple chats, multiple channels, private chat, public chat. I've got, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 channels up all at the same time. I don't know where the hell to find a link that somebody's sending me.
You don't know if you're coming or going, right?
I don't know. Here's Dragon back.
What happened to you, Dragon?
Well,
Dragon, what was the name of the doctor guy who you were talking
Chris
about
Martinson.
Here? Chris Martinson. All right, I'll find it that way.
All right, while Rick's busy, I'll tell another joke. This also was copyrighted in 2006 in my book. A guy walks into a bar, says to the bartender, "Hey, bartender, give me a Coke with a Viagra in it." The bartender looks at him kind of cross-eyed and he says, "I need a really stiff drink." Ba-dum-bum. Right? An obvious joke once you've heard it, but a professional comedian didn't think of that. I did way back in 2006. Although I know local comedians and I've written jokes for them that they've used. So good. It sounds like Rick found it. So I can stop stalling with my lame puns. But
okay, I've got the video. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to come back to it. Here we go. This is the dude causing the ruckus. And he's one of, okay, there are lots of videos like this. There are lots. And whatever. But this was the claim that he made in his video.
I'm coming to you today with rock-solid audio proof that there were at least 2 shooters shooting at Trump and the crowd, and therefore the official story of a lone gunman is complete bunk.
Okay. Right off the top, That's his claim, that there's more than one shooter, at least two shooting at Trump and the crowd. That's
And
what he said.
it is possible. And again, there's a, is it called Stingray?
Joseph, let me just lay this out for people, okay? This is the claim that this guy made. And then he goes on and he says it's rock solid evidence, which means unequivocal, undeniable, beyond a shadow of a doubt proof that the official story is bunk. All right? And I said, this is what I said. I said, I don't know. But what I do know, I don't know if there's more than one shooter. I don't know what, other information might be out there. I want more information. But I said, but what this guy's doing is not credible. It's flawed methodology. And whatever he is asserting here is almost guaranteed to lead to an incorrect conclusion. He's wrong. He's going to be wrong because he's using the wrong methodology. He had a single audio recording of what happened, that he pulled from social media, from a location that is not precise, doesn't really know exactly where the recording, precisely where it is. He's analyzing the audio with a
1100.
A free audio program that he downloads off the internet called Audacity, which I use it myself from time to time. It's not really a very good audio editing program. I rarely ever use that. I have better audio editing tools here. But he's saying that this is unequivocal proof. And he not only, that there's a second shooter shooting at Trump and the crowd. He also says that he also gets into trajectory, talks about elevation, location. And I said, I'm not a ballistician. I am not a weapons expert. I know audio production, but I would never tell people that I have unequivocal, rock solid proof of anything based on the kind of evidence that he's analyzing. And I certainly wouldn't analyze it in this way because the methodology he's using is 100% incorrect. You cannot triangulate the position of gunfire using a single audio source. All right? You need multiple microphones and you need to know the precise locations of each microphone that you're using. And I went through all the science. I showed people what the formulas are for triangulating the position of gunfire. I went into it in some depth. And then this report comes out from Fox News. Let me see if I can find it for you. Come on, where are you? No, not that one. So we got this from Fox News, and I did send it to myself again. So let me just pull it up here.
Sending ourselves things are such a good tool.
Well, several cities have systems that indeed do exactly what you're saying, Rick, right? Multiple mics, and they can, if there's a gunshot, the police know it can be triangulated. Yes, using one audio source, you might be able to say, it certainly sounds like 3 guns. Okay, I can buy that part. But like you're saying, you cannot then be sure, triangulation-wise, what way they were firing. So he's full of hot air on that. Do I accept there could be 3 shots? Yes, but who all shot who at what, where, when, and why is another thing that cannot be conclusively drawn from what he's saying. Because again, yes. Now, if you took multiple sources of audio and video and indeed geolocated where they were and put them into...
Even then, it's not precise enough to geolocate.
I agree.
You need to be, within, inches or maybe a foot. But the point is, okay, and I'm sorry, I had this stupid, hang on, Keep talking.
But you could make a better claim doing it. Multiple sources, as long as you geolocated where they were and say within reasonable expectation, this is our potential conclusion. But you cannot, like you're saying, definitively say anything from what this guy has done. And I think this is the guy that was being referred to on Trigger Talk when I called in the other day and was indeed poo-pooing it a bit.
So here's the clip from Fox News. So this, of course, because of what I said, and I indicated, you know, this guy can't tell you what the position is. He can't, using the tools that he has and the information that he has, he cannot triangulate position. If there is a second shooter, he couldn't tell you where the shooter is. Even with, if he didn't have visual reference to know that the shooter was on top of the roof, even with that audio recording, he couldn't tell you where the one shooter is using that method to analyze the audio. Okay, so he doesn't know. But here's the clip from Fox News that then led people to attack me further and say, you're all wrong. Rick, you didn't get it right at all. You see, there's proof that you don't know what you're talking about.
Hi, Eric. Good afternoon. A source familiar with the investigation tells me that, look, it took a single shot to kill the would-be assassin Thomas Crooks, and that shot came from a Secret Service counter sniper that the source says he described the shot as a 1 in a million type of shot. The counter sniper could only see the top of the scope, his eye and forehead, because the lip of the AGR building that Crooks was on was obscuring that view. We're also told a local police sniper took a single shot as well, but missed. Remember, this building was about 150 yards away from where the former president was standing on that stage, and it had a clear line of sight to the former president. Federal law enforcement sources tell Fox that while Crooks snuck up on that roof, a Butler Township Emergency Services Unit sniper team was looking out of the windows of that same building, watching for any suspicious activity. So how did Crooks get on that roof? Federal law enforcement sources tell Fox that it was initially thought he brought a ladder. However, no ladder was found on site, and we're now told the more likely scenario is that Crooks hid his father's AR-15 near an AC unit, and then he climbed onto that AC unit to get up onto the roof of the AGR building. This, as the Wall Street Journal is now reporting, the shooter was able to fly a drone above the rally site earlier that day. The predetermined flight path, the Journal reports, indicates that he flew the drone more than once to scope out the site. A federal law enforcement source tells Fox the Secret Service was not flying a drone over the rally that day. Senator Josh Hawley says multiple whistleblowers with direct knowledge have come forward saying the rally was being treated as a loose security event.
Okay, so I was not wrong. I was not wrong. In fact, I was quite right. What happened? The guy came to an incorrect conclusion. First of all, you know, you can't tell where the shooter, the first shooter is using that method. You can't tell, let alone where the first one is, if there even is a second one. Third, you can't tell what caliber of weapon it is or anything else using that kind of audio recording. It's just too messy, too dirty. You're dealing with echoes. You're dealing with dirty noise. You don't have a precise location on the phone. You don't have a second microphone anyplace that you can, definitively define where it is. You don't have time-coded video so you can properly sync it within a fraction of a second because of the speed of bullets, right? So this is flawed methodology. I said it's going to lead to an incorrect conclusion. And then he's making a lot of assumptions. And then even during the course of the video, he says, if this and if that. Yeah, you're making assumptions. That's not rock solid evidence. So what did he end up doing? He ended up making a false claim he came to a conclusion that was incorrect, at least based on the information we have right now. It's an incorrect conclusion because there was another shot fired, one additional shot, but it wasn't shot at the crowd and it wasn't taken at Trump. It was taken by another police officer, but he's jumping to conclusions. He's making an assumption that if a shot was fired, it was coming from a second gunman. And that's what he told people, which is dangerous. And that leads people down rabbit holes, which makes people think there's a conspiracy beyond what we're already dealing with. You got to deal with the facts. And in the early stages of an investigation, the cops don't even have all the facts yet. They haven't compiled them all. They haven't even begun to analyze them. Then you get all these armchair quarterbacks out there and people sitting in their basements, suddenly they become, security experts and experts on ballistics and audio analysis. No, man, you gotta sit back and wait to get all the information that you can together, and then you need expert analysis on this stuff. This is not helpful. This is harmful, actually, because this prevents people from getting the truth. Because even when the truth is presented later, a lot of people will accept what that guy says as fact, when it is not fact at all. There's nothing factual about it.
And there's another point also. I've heard a lot of podcasts where you had invited ex-snipers for the army that has their expertise, if you will, to go into it. And some of them say, you need what we call a spotter. It's like if I'm the gunman, you need a guy just in the back of my shoulder to see where my shot has been shot and to tell me like, okay, you're probably a quarter inch left or right, whatever, out of your target kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he was alone. And what he was using, as some have said, was an iron sight. What is an iron sight is that on the top of the gun, you're supposed either to have a scope or not. And he was not using the scope. So the iron sight is basically just the 2 pointers that you got to align together to be on spot.
So, and to your point, and the point I was trying to make before, we have to have full investigations of these possibilities. What you're saying, and like I said in my Before It's News article, let's stick with the 100% verifiable facts. It's okay to say, well, we know, based on audio, there were 3 guns. Okay, but leaping, like you said, to the conclusion, it must be a second assassin is out of bounds.
But even the audio was not clean enough, in my view, and the way it was analyzed wasn't clean enough to come up with the absolute rock solid conclusion that there was a 3rd gun. It wasn't the audio. I mean, it was the cop saying that he did it, that he took the shot. And then, of course, there's a bullet going to be missing from, the chamber in his inventory as well, right? So if there's a bullet missing, there was a shot fired, you've got evidence that you can, there would be residual powder like on his hands, all of that stuff, so you can prove that he took the shot.
With the forensic.
That's forensic evidence. So this really happened. There's a difference between that and just saying, I think I hear something. Now, you can ask questions.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I was not wrong. I was actually 100% right. The guy made a mistake. He made claims that were not true.
Well, this is
based on faulty methodology.
Yeah, this is the difference between a QAnoner, which I'm happy to claim part of Q Army, who is interested in truth seeking, facts and evidence seeking, versus a QAnutter. And you will never convince a QAnutter of anything. The evidence you presented and the admission of the cop saying, yeah, I took a gunshot, they will dismiss as it's part of the cover-up.
And then,
because
yes,
they always,
it's a cover-up. And there was somebody, and he made reference to somebody else going online and making these same claims within minutes of the shooting taking place, using audio recordings like that. And I'm like, you're going to make a claim like that within minutes? What motivation would that guy maybe have? There's got to be something else motivating someone, clickbait, What is it? There's something else going on there. I would never, within minutes, go online. Like it's just,
Yeah.
it's not
No,
credible. None of that is
again,
credible. I wouldn't believe anything that guy says anymore.
Yeah. A QAnoner wants truth ultimately. A QAnoner doesn't care about seeking truth, only what they can claim to be holder of secret knowledge no one else could possibly know. You're all morons. This is the truth. They always have to take it 1 million umpteenth level more than reality, because that's they prefer delusion.
The problem is when you it sets off a domino effect. You make one wrong piece of information, just one based on, and then there's other assumptions that come with that, or you come to other conclusions that are not correct, that leads to another incorrect conclusion, and another one, and another one, and another one. And that's why, the American Civil Liberties Union has been challenging even the data collected from gunshot detection systems that have been installed in cities, where they have as many as 25 microphones per square mile to triangulate the locations of gunfire and to determine the kind of weapon used, because that sort of information is being used in court against people. And the ACLU is saying that that's not fair. It's because sometimes even that stuff, using the most sophisticated technology available, is not always accurate either. So you have to be very, very careful about anything like this. You get into an investigation, you get one thing wrong, you're going to get 20 other things wrong potentially, because you're going to set off a chain reaction of incorrect conclusions. You got to be really careful.
Yeah, one question will bring to another questioning will all be false. And
yes, because now you think that this is a fact, but it isn't a fact. So everything from that point on is probably incorrect. It's going to take you down the wrong path. But that's what they call a rabbit hole.
And I will say something that is factual, I'm sure. That is, there is or not 2 or 3 shooter or whatever. One thing is for sure. Trump will go around that. I'm sure that he's looking at those statements on or comments on medias and look into it, probably, that he's probably also asking himself. So he's at the right place to do that investigation and to ask that investigation to be done. And I'm sure of one thing is that Trump, if got that report, he will one day probably provide those answers to the people that is asking that, and probably bring those public. And if he does, we will know if there were how many shooters or if there were just one. So point made is, let's wait till we have some report.
Real information. Yeah, that's it. And I'm not ruling anything out. That's also where all good investigations begin, is with everything on the table. Make no assumptions, look at everything, rule nothing out. And then as you get information and facts, you drill down to get the truth. But put it all on the table, and I'm still sitting here tonight. I'm open to anything, but I need to be dealing with factual information and proper methodology. Otherwise, it's not worth anything. It's just junk.
Yeah.
That's it.
Again, bottom line to me is, I accept and believe 3 guns were fired. The question is, indeed, do we accept the explanation, or is that indeed cover up? I don't know. And that's the point here. I don't know. We don't know. What we do know is enough. You don't have to make shit up. But some people can't help themselves.
Well, the people want the conspiracy theory is really what it comes down to, because it's, I think, more entertaining. And it's just a whole lot more fun, including the story. Well, 2 other things came out of that over the last 2 days. There's one of the extra shooters is supposed to have been on the water tower, and the shooter escaped on a zip line down the back of the water tower. But I
I've
haven't
heard
seen any
that
video.
too. Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
I'm
Oh
sure
my.
that's yeah. Okay, right. I'm going to believe
Oh
that.
my God.
No, he got away. No video or any evidence of that though. But whatever. Like,
Yeah.
show me the guy on the zip line. Like really. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, UFO. There was a UFO spotted right above Trump's head at the time of the shooting.
Yeah.
And there's a
So
little
probably
photo
this
of
is
the speck.
why, you know, he was looking at the UFO, and this is why the bullet.
Come on, man.
Well,
Come
I
on,
want to.
man.
I want to go further on the zip line thing. All right, let's say somebody planned to do that, and they were trying. Okay, now you have a zip line, right? Now you put explosives on each end, so you blow that up, so the zip line evidence comes down. How does the zip line then get completely erased from the ground as evidence there was a zip line somehow used in did it Mission Impossible self-destruct a zip line? I mean, these people have no ability to do logic, reason, or any common sense whatsoever.
It takes time to set up a zip line. It would be in place. Don't you think people at that point somebody would be like, who put the zip line on the water tower? What's going on? Anyway, we'll be right back, and then we're going to talk about twisters.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, all right, we're going to talk about twisters, but that makes me think of this, okay? It's a tongue twister. Before we get into the movie, okay, can you guys say how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much would a chuck? How much a woodchuck would chuck a woodchuck chuck wood?
Go ahead,
Not
Joseph.
at all.
Yeah. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And I just had a tooth pulled last week, and it's like I'm still trying to relearn how to use my mouth. So I doubt that came out even all that well. So
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
I feel like
That's
Sylvester from
Dragon, you do it the best. Do it one more time.
How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would chuck wood?
That's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know
man.
what? I should probably practice those more, and probably my tongue would slip a little bit better.
There you go.
Yep.
Or
Hey!
you like I don't drink, but you might try a little alcohol. that could lubricate things just a little bit.
Well, I'll try.
Later.
Yeah.
That
Well,
might
like
get
I
us into
said,
some trouble.
I just had a tooth pulled a week or so ago. So I feel like Sylvester from Sylvester and Tweety, suffering succotash. You know,
Well,
it's like,
you did very well with the woodchuck.
Can I make one in French?
Yeah, do it.
Un chasseur sachant sacher ne sait sacher sans son chien.
yeah.
What
was that?
A
what
hunter
French?
that doesn't actually the translation would be that a hunter that hunt without the dog doesn't know to hunt without a dog.
Now
A
do
hunter
one
with a
in,
dog doesn't know how to hunt with a dog that
Un
isn't a hunter.
chasseur sachant chasser ne sait chasser sans son chien.
now do one in
So so
Romulan.
she so c'est shaky and so quoi sheesh and she she. Right? Le hamburger. Le hamburger. Le fries.
Hamburger.
Le fries. La
Meat
fries.
bun. Meat bun.
Le fries. Je suis like tego. Mi perro está en mi casa.
You're better in Spanish than in French, for sure.
Okay, well let's talk. Let's talk about Twisters. I went to see Twisters with my wife last night, so I thought we'd just talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to run the trailer. I'm just going to put up stills so we don't get a copyright strike. But Joseph, you've seen the movie, right?
Yeah, I saw it just a few days ago also. And Roland Emmerich is one of my favorite directors, and he did The Day After Tomorrow. Remember that? And people accused him of peddling the climate hoax. He's not a climate tard, as I call them. He just saw, hey, this helps make a good drama story. So I don't know if the people behind this are climate tards trying to peddle that, or again, hey, it just makes a good movie or not.
Which sets the stage for this conversation. And my view on this is that Hollywood has become an enemy of America in a way, because everything coming out of Hollywood now is politically correct, it's progressive, it's woke, right? This movie, not the worst offender, and yet still, because it's a movie dealing with tornadoes, its subject matter has the veneer of climate activism. Within the movie, you know, there are many references made to, there's dialogue such as, well, you know, we've been seeing a lot more tornadoes. There have been a lot more floods. It's subtle. It's not right in your face. They're not clubbing you over the head with the climate change agenda, but it's embedded in the script.
Yeah.
And you know, at times it is sort of like front and center, right there in your face. This young lady who plays the is the main character in the movie.
Daisy Edgar Jones, yeah.
Yeah. She is working on technology, a method to stop tornadoes, so that when they're happening, all she has to do is get into the center of a tornado, or get these barrels full of this poly something or whether chemical thingy that's non-toxic, and just have it get sucked up into this into a tornado, and it will dissipate the tornado by disrupting the tornado dynamics.
And remember, this is a quasi reboot, quasi sequel to a movie that came out really before all the climate hoax. So again, do they play that up to a degree? Yeah. And again, now the producers are different from the script writers and the actors. So who is putting that in? Like Matrix 4. We don't have to speculate. We know that the creator, the writer of Matrix 4, after a dust up with Elon Musk on Twitter, said, screw you. I don't like this red pill, blue pill, what it's become. Matrix 4 is going to be a woke movie. It was intentionally made that way. And all the tropes of conservatives that are in it. The creator itself of Matrix 4 Resurrection said it's a trans allegory film. Hence the name of the character, Switch. Get it? Switched genders. that was openly and overtly woke. And my point is, I'm not sure if they purposefully wanted this to be woke or not, but in order to get it made, you've got to throw a bone to indeed the Hollywood leftards who want to peddle this stuff. So I cut the director and the producer a potential break.
Well, you know, it was not. I have to say, it was actually a pretty good movie. It was entertaining. It was tightly written. It's formulaic as heck. It is a remake of sorts of the original Twister movie, but they
And a
changed the name to
sequel.
Twisters and a
Yeah,
sequel.
Dorothy is in it, so it's a quasi sequel at the same time, more or less a reboot. They're trying to have it every way. And like you said, yeah, formulaic, to the hilt. And I generally can't stand when they do formulaic garbage, but this was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was tightly written. It was it's a romantic comedy set against the the climate change narrative, and just the adventure of chasing storms and tornadoes, suspense back, dramatic, life and limb being risked as they chase after these tornadoes, and some people actually being killed and sucked up into the tornadoes. It's car chase scenes, like literally, like it's basically a car chase movie, except they're not chasing cars, they're chasing tornadoes. And the love
it's a
story.
thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a thing. In America, there's a lot of storm chasers that
Well,
will
yeah, it
stay
is.
around.
And I know some storm chasers. Indeed, when I was working, in mainstream television, I was out chasing storms all the time. Not just twisters, but I covered a lot of tornadoes, but snowstorms. I was asked when they were telling everybody to stay off the roads. They were telling me to get out there and get past the barricades and get out on all those closed highways and byways to get all the best shots of all the cars in the ditches. I was always driving out and around people who were stuck on the highway and, sending cops over here. There's a guy stranded over here at mile maker 237, and out there in the worst kind of weather. But anyway, that's another story. This was a romantic comedy. And the tornadoes themselves become a metaphor for a whirlwind romance between two humans.
Yes.
The twisters become metaphors for the two main characters, the two involved, in the love interest. It's sort of, but the main character is the woman, which is politically correct, right? She's the main storm chaser. She almost has a mystical quality to her because she's able to, predict where the storms are going to be by taking the seeds of a dandelion and just letting them float into the air. And yet it's mixed with science because she wants to take this chemical, which is the same chemical, I guess they said, that's used to produce disposable diapers, but it's non-toxic. So it's okay to release it into the middle of a tornado in order to stop it. I don't know what releasing disposable diaper material into a tornado is going to do to stop, a super EF5, but there it is, right? Which also plays into the whole, ability of human beings to be able to control weather idea, right? Which a lot of people subscribe to these days. So it was entertaining, it was adventure packed, but right there, front and center, it's all about the climate change. It's all about the wokeism. It's all woven into it. I'm glad that it wasn't so in my face last night that it made it unwatchable, but it was definitely there.
Hey, the more you talked, the more subpoints from the subplots you made. You've convinced me. You've won me over on that. Now, the love story thing, really, again, it's a sequel because Dorothy is in it, but it's a reboot, and it really is the original Twister movie. It's the same plot. Helen Hunt and Paxton, they can't stand each other, but of course they come together and much admiration and appreciation and respect for each other. They love each other. Yeah, it's the same story. But again, it's entertaining. And if you go in willing to accept the entertainment, that's good. Now, the other thing, though, that bothers me is not about this movie, the Barbie movie. I actually saw the movie, unlike a lot of people who criticize it. Yeah, is there woke stuff in it? Yes, but it's a good film because it takes pot shots at everybody. My favorite scene in the Barbie movie is attacking the left and the woke and the DEI and all that crap about, it's all men in the boardroom saying, but we're a feminist company. Our janitor is female, right? So they take pot shots at everybody. To me, that made it a kind of fair and balanced film. If it were entirely woke agenda oriented, would it have had Midge, the pregnant Barbie, in the movie? Pro-abortion Hollywood having Midge, the family value Barbie, in the film? So it was balanced. It was fair. In fact, during the credits, they showed a fetus in the womb.
I'm not going to
How
watch
can
the
you
Barbie
impregnate
movie. I
the
won't
Barbie?
criticize it. I won't be part of. I don't want anything to do with the Barbie movie. Okay, I'm sorry. They can have it. You can go watch it if you want. I'm not even going to comment on it. I just don't want anything.
It was funny. It's meant to be funny. People took it too damn seriously. It's funny comedy.
Okay, we're not talking about the Barbie movie though. We're off topic. We're talking about Twisters, and then there's another movie that I just want to make reference to tonight, and that's Fly Me to the Moon, which I've not seen. I did see the trailer, but I want to make reference to it, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment. But Dragon, you wanted to say something?
Well, actually, I had one little joke to make about Twister. Well, as you have made the comment, it's kind of romantic-ish type of a movie. As you can see, at some point, and you can see it on the trailer, the guy sends fireworks into the... What references does make?
That's because oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but if the sexual innuendo is not over the top at that point, oh baby.
There's a legitimate plot point for it because as part of the chemical, they needed to shoot another chemical first to get the humidity to turn into rain, so the other but it's convoluted, and you're right. But I did see Fly Me to the Moon on Free Popcorn Tuesday at my local MJR. I didn't want to see it. I would not have paid full price for it, but hey, $5 and free popcorn, I said, okay, I'll see it. And so I was surprised. I thought it was much better than I was expecting.
Entertaining, sure, I can accept that. Nevertheless, I'm going to say that it's another way to illustrate, to show that Hollywood has become an enemy of America. Okay? Because why? What are we supposed to be celebrating this week? The 55th anniversary of the moon landing. Okay? So this is what it looked like when Neil Armstrong first stepped foot on the moon 55 years ago.
Well, that's exactly why they made the film.
You got a good picture, huh? There's a great deal of contrast in it, and currently it's upside down on our monitor, but we can make out a fair amount of detail.
This is something that America should be celebrating. I'm not hearing really too much about it.
the opening I ought to have on the camera.
But what an achievement to put a man on the moon. And yet, what percentage of Americans today would say that it was a hoax?
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. Okay, Neil, we can see you coming. Okay, I just checked getting back up to that first step. That isn't collapsed too far, but it's adequate to get back up. Roger, we copy. It's a pretty good little jump. Buzz, this is Houston, F2, I'm at the 1/160th second for shadow photography on the sequence camera. Okay. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The limb footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches, although the surface appears to be very, very fine-grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. Ground mass is very fine. Yeah, I'm going to step off the limb now.
So now as I look this stuff up,
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So if you look at, depending on the survey and when it was taken, what year, today about a quarter, 25% of Americans think it was a hoax.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they address it in the film. Now, yes, woke Hollywood, absolutely. There are pot shots at Nixon in the film. So there is that. But ultimately, with as anti-American as Hollywood usually is, this film was ultimately reasonably pro-America. And they address the supposed moon landing fake conspiracy. I don't want to give a spoiler. I think they used it well as a great way to set up a twist at the end that makes it pro-American while, still anti-Nixon.
So again, I haven't seen the film. So you're saying that this is actually a pro-American film? Because my take on it, Joseph, is that it is an anti-American film because, and without having seen it, so I stand to be corrected without having seen the full film. So it's not fair.
That's the assumption I made at first too, till I saw the film.
Right. So, but here's the thing: it's like 55th anniversary. Shouldn't we be celebrating it? And I've seen over the years since the moon landing, a progression where people are trying to take that piece of history away from America. You see all this propaganda, and I'd say that these conspiracy theories like this one are all about, they are anti-American because they're trying to revise your history, take away everything that people should be proud of. Every American achievement is worth nothing, or it's not even real. It's totally fake. Your country's fake. Your government's fake. The moon landing's fake. Everything's fake. You should hate your country. America sucks. Everything about America is a fraud. Capitalism sucks. This whole thing with the moon landing is a lie. So rather than make like a movie like Apollo 13, right? This is a movie about how the moon landing was maybe faked. So on the 55th anniversary, it comes out. Now, I stand to be corrected because I haven't seen the film. So please, help me out here. Maybe I'll feel better after you speak.
That, I think, is the assumption they want you to have to help draw you in. Now, I'm not a big ScarJo fan, but Woody Harrelson has become one of those, used to be a leftist, has been red pilled. He wouldn't have been in this movie, in my opinion, had it been indeed pure anti-American hogwash.
I don't know. Woody Harrelson strikes me as being
he's still out
kind
there.
of anti-American when you really get into him. I think he's kind of anti-American. He's pretty left. He's pretty far out there on the left, my friend.
Now, again, yeah, if you compare this to an Apollo 13, the pride of the accomplishment, and oh my God, they almost died. Now, night and day, obviously. I think this is kind of one of those films, like a Twisters in a way, where indeed it's a Rorschach test. You can see it different ways, and they want to have it both ways, and to sell it to both left and right.
To be fair, when I watch the trailers and the interviews with the actors, they are making it clear that, this is a dramatic presentation. It's fictional. This is like, what if they faked the moon landing? They're not saying that it was faked. Nevertheless, the decision to make this film and release it at this time on the 55th anniversary, which is, just going to feed those conspiracies, right? Those conspiracy theories. It detracts from the celebration of the achievement. It's another seed of doubt that is sown to create more chaos.
Well, there is no question. They purposely put it on the calendar for now.
Yeah.
And that's just smart marketing. I'm not going to detract that.
It's also smart marketing to put to create this kind of content, because people eat this stuff up. Like I said, with the two-shooter theory and everything else. I mean, you want to sell books, you want to sell soap, you want to sell a movie, just wrap a conspiracy theory around a script, and away you go. People are gonna just these days eat that stuff up. They'd rather have the lie than the truth.
Yeah. Now, again, my assumption up front was this is purely anti-American crap, and indeed only peddling the moon landing was fake conspiracy. I think it's brilliant script writing, the way they used it to provide the twist at the end. But again, left or right, if you're determined going in, you think it's going to be that's what you're going to see and come away from. But I went in even assuming it was pure leftist anti-Americanism and all about, yes, they faked the landing. But walking out, I gave it a fair hearing. I'm not convinced that was their intent. I again think their intent is to straddle the line, to be able to sell it both left and right, and it's a Rorschach test. Again, if you expect to see that, you'll see that.
The other thing is, right now, we are at war on multiple fronts in a variety of ways, because we're dealing with fifth generation warfare. I would say World War III is already well underway. We're fighting on multiple fronts, and you have a nation that is disrupted, divided, not proud, not patriotic, generally speaking. You have media that is just stoking the fires of division. You have Hollywood producing movies that are not patriotic overall. They're all very woke, very progressive, and very anti-American in tone. There's no flag waving. There's no pro-America, pro-patriot stuff. The closest thing I can think of in recent times that has come to a pro-American film is I think it was the movie Sniper that was directed by Clint Eastwood. And that was hardly a patriotic film. And he was attacked for having produced it.
American Sniper.
American Sniper. Yeah. And that was,
the Chris
quite a few
Kyle
years ago. Yeah.
Chris Kyle story. Now,
and even Top Gun. Top Gun, yeah, that was kind of a pro-American film, right? It sort of was, but there was Chinese influence in that. So even that
No. They bucked it. They were going to remove the Taiwan flag from the jacket.
But there was
Cruz stepped up and said, no, it's going on the jacket.
But there was Chinese money because even though people think that it's Zionists and Jews that control Hollywood, it's actually today largely owned by China.
Chinese money.
Chinese money.
Yeah.
It's not the Jews in Hollywood at all, which is, I'm going to say to you right now that is why you're not getting the patriotic, pro-American, flag-waving type of film out of Hollywood that, especially during times of international conflict, that you would get. You go back to the 80s, right? And the time of Reagan, and you had pro-American stuff coming out of Hollywood. You had the original Top Gun, which was very pro-American, and there was other stuff coming out at that time too. But things were different in Hollywood at that time. And now, if you're Jewish and working in Hollywood, you're going to get attacked and might not even get work, let alone own Hollywood.
Yeah.
Okay, it's totally different.
There's a difference between Hollywood and why I try to see more the other independent studios. There's some good stuff coming out of that, including Christian films. Like, I got into an argument the other day about The Shift from a Christian studio, because like my book Terror Strikes, it's a Christian book, not traditional, not fluffy, to get outside of preaching to the choir. The Shift is Christian messaging through a science fiction film. I think it's great, but this person got all bent out of shape. And my point is, what good does it do you to only preach to the choir? You've got to reach outside of that. And some are thinking out of the box.
What do you think, Dragon? Any thoughts on Hollywood? You know, like I just think back to like World War II, right? And Hollywood was like pumping out pro-patriotic propaganda like crazy. Right, even we just did the whole thing on the Superman films, and after the 13th in the series of the Fleischer cartoons, it became very blatantly pro-American war propaganda stuff, with episodes in the Superman series called like the Japateurs, right? Sort of demonizing or creating fear around Japan because we were at war with Japan at the time. But we're not getting that kind of stuff out of Hollywood right now.
No,
maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know, but it's an observation.
They've turned G.I. Joe into a globalist, a New World Order fighter, pro-world order, not pro-America. So, yeah, there's a lot of that. But, yeah, so I was
Dragon. Let's let Dragon talk.
All right. Well, if you want to see it this way, unpatriotic in Hollywood today, and I want to make a reference to, well, Superman that we have seen the other day. There's a series that a lot of people would know, and I hope that people on the chat will probably remind me that it's a true thing. Homelander, which is a depiction of what if Superman would have become egocentric or egomaniac type of megalomaniac type of superhero, and what the character does shows that what if Superman would take his power for granted, if you will, sort of doing anti-human type of thing. And there's a lot of episode where you can make assessment about other cultures, terrorism, and stuff like that. Because Homelander, I mean, he goes out there and kills some people in other country for the love of his country, or is he egomaniacal type of thing? So yeah.
Well, just, a couple of movies that are out there right now. Just observations that I made going to the theater. Oh, by the way, the computer system was down at the theater, hit by the CrowdStrike global Microsoft cyber outage that was not a terrorist attack. It was supposed to be a software update glitch that just took everything down. So with software and cybersecurity companies out there like that, working with us, we don't need enemies. Okay, they're doing the work for any enemies we might have out there for them. But yeah, even the computer system was down. But it's just an observation. It's like this is not the 1980s. This is not the 1940s. This is 2024. The country's in trouble. We're in a state of despair and decline. Trump is saying that we are, in his last speech, called the United States a failing nation. You have a bumbling president who can't keep his head straight because he's lost his mind. He actually has to leave the election race, which is just in itself almost unbelievable, because it just shows that whatever is going on within the government, it's not right, that he wasn't really ever in control. There were people behind him just using him as a puppet. So that's quite clear and obvious now. If it ever wasn't before, it absolutely is now, which throws everything else into question. You have, escalating conflict in the Middle East. You have not just a war between Israel, Palestine, and Hamas. It's now Lebanon, right? And Hezbollah. You have the Houthis now attacking Israel with a drone, a counterstrike with jets taking out serious targets in Yemen with Israel, all of that going on. Yeah, Trump attempted assassination, all of this stuff within about a week, right? Like, how much more can a nation endure? And yet somehow when I go out, everything is still sort of okay. People are not running down the street going, run for your lives, run for your lives. It's like everything seems to be sort of okay. So we're enduring and we're resilient, but I don't know, man. Well, all that's going on. All I'm seeing online is nobody's proud of the new moon landing. Everybody hates the country. Well, not everybody, but just growing pessimism. No trust in government because of what they did to us during the pandemic. The media is just hammering all the time. Even the mainstream media hates America, right? It's all like, my God, when is it going to end? And how are we going to survive this? We need to get back to a place where people are proud of their history, proud to be American, proud to be Canadian, not afraid to fly their flag. Acknowledge the mistakes of the past, but celebrate the achievements and things that we actually can be proud of. Don't reject those things. If we don't, the country's going to come apart at the seams. When I'm going to the movies, and even there, I'm being bombarded with, really, in my view, it's not anti-American, it's certainly not pro-American messaging that I'm getting. It's not like, here's something to be proud of. This is something to be excited about. Isn't it great to be an American? Or even, isn't it great to be Canadian? It's, this is what is lacking, in my view.
Except some, again, independent, smaller studios are putting out good stuff. Like I saw from Fathom Events, the Mike Rowe Something to Stand For film. Mainly a documentary.
I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it.
If you get a chance to see Something to Stand For,
that's true.
From Mike Rowe, very pro-American.
You're right. There are some small studios out there that are some of them Christian focused or Christian based.
Mostly.
Right? And those are the people producing sort of pro-American messaging movies.
Family value films. Yes. That's my point.
They're not widely distributed. No. They don't have the pull, right? Or they just don't have the reach that these big studio productions have. They're not generally being distributed through movie theaters. They
Right.
don't end up on,
They have $10 or $20 million budgets and maybe $5 to spend on promotion, whereas their full budget, $25 million, is a drop in the bucket of just the promotion of a Twisters film, right? That probably cost $150 million, and they probably dropped another $50 million on promotion. The small studios can't do that. Yeah.
I suppose on a sort of in a way to look at all this through a positive lens, even this negativity, the negativity itself, to me, though, does show that we still live in a society where there are some positive things, because at least it shows that we have enough free speech left that these studios are allowed to make movies that are not pro-American or pro-Canadian, and in some cases even anti-American. So you're allowed to produce that. You're allowed to distribute it. You're allowed to watch it. And people who produce that stuff don't go to jail. I guess on the evil, sinister, insidious side of that, unfortunately, I'm thinking that some of the people within our government are in our academic institutions, corporations, they're producing this stuff because they sort of have infiltrated the government. So that's why you're really kind of getting it too. So this is a sign of a society that has cancer growing within it, a country that has cancer growing within it. And if something isn't done to address the disease, the patient, the country might just die.
Yeah. But there's a positive to this too. Sometimes you push too hard, you get pushback.
Mm-hmm.
The left has indeed gone so over the top. Studies are showing, I did a CTP show on it and an article. Studies are showing there is a generational shift. Larger and larger and larger numbers of our kids are rejecting the leftist indoctrination and moving to the right. So maybe we can finally see that pendulum coming back. They've pushed too hard, too far, too long. Pushback is coming.
The danger that I'm seeing, though, is some of the people that I've seen who were on the conservative side, they're getting sucked over so far to the left that they're getting pushed into the
Overton window.
The other way. And and then it's kind of like they're coming around and meeting the other side again, like the communofascism meeting
rhinos,
right?
Yes.
It just,
the
whatever.
rhinos.
It's just crazy stuff. But anyway, guys, let's wrap things up for the night. Dragon, over to you for some final thoughts this evening.
Final thought, always stay positive. If you want to know something probably that will enlighten your American empire kind of thought, if you will.
American Empire.
A beautiful movie made in Canada in 86 called The Decline of the American Empire, which I would suggest you all to listen. Is a good movie, and I think would align you a little bit in things that were already thought back then and today might be still in the timeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Joseph, final thoughts. Sir.
What you're referring to is our Western culture, and especially the U.S. and our Constitution, is the exception to the rule of all history. And the Overton window always shift towards more power. That's why Franklin said a republic if you can keep it. He knew human nature would be to get lazy and complacent, and those who wanted return to ruling elitism, oligarchy, monarchy, communism, socialism, fascism, all about ruling elites, lording over the masses, was the norm. And if we don't push to keep what we've got, we indeed will return to that. Those seeking power take advantage of your laziness and your complacency. It says, "We the people," in bold font for a reason, meaning you lazy bastards, got to get off your ass to preserve what we were given, or we lose it.
And you know what, Dragon? I'm going to cede my final word to you. I just want you to please, sir, one more time, impress the ladies with that lush French accent, and please just give us that word that they love so much one more time: unanimity.
New nominee.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Love you, Dragon. Love you, Joseph. Love you guys.
I
And
got
we'll
it
be
now.
back tomorrow
I nailed
night.
it.
7
No, you
p.m.
didn't.
Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Maverick News Channel. Catch you on the flip side.
God bless.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.